Looks like this week will forever be remembered as the one the Trump train collided head-on with the Access Hollywood bus, resulting in severe injuries to one major political party. The most recent week of horrors for Donald Trump was capped off last night by the second presidential debate. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Going into this debate, the Trump campaign was in crisis, precipitated in large part, of course, by this footage that by now you probably know better than your 5-year-old knows Frozen.
I moved on her, actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there, and she was married. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the. I can do anything.
Cool, cool. So a man who is this close to the highest office in the land now occupies the lowest office in the land, the pervert on the bus. Even the act of departing the bus managed to be embarrassing for Trump.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
Down below. Pull the hell.
Sorry, what's more pathetic? A major party nominee who talks about women like that, or one who thinks you get out of a bus by knocking on the glass? I guess in the end, Donald Trump is the man to defeat ISIS as long as ISIS isn't on the other side of a door. And by the way, let's not forget that Donald Trump isn't the only one being disgusting on this tape. There's also Billy Bush, who somehow passed Jeb as worst performing Bush in 2016. Poor Jeb, he must be somewhere thinking, I can't win anything. And once they got off the bus, Billy Bush somehow managed to add a layer of nacho sleaze to the 7-layer sleaze dip.
Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
How about a little hug for the Donald? He just got off the bus.
Would you like a little hug,
Okay,
darling?
absolutely. Melania said this was
Bushy.
okay.
I just got off the bus.
Bushy, bushy.
There we go.
They're so entitled, they think they deserve hugs for getting off a bus. And it wasn't easy. You couldn't just knock on the glass, trust me. I tried. Now, it should be noted, NBC suspended Billy Bush from the Today Show for his words on this tape, which means there is currently a higher standard for host of the third hour of the Today Show than there is for Republican nominee for president. Now, the release of this tape threw the Trump campaign into chaos, and after more than 15 months of tolerating explicit misogyny, bigotry, calls to violence, erratic behavior, and overt racism from Trump, somehow some Republicans decided that this was the final straw. Many withdrew their endorsements, while others, like House Speaker Paul Ryan, tried to distance themselves without fully renouncing Trump.
Paul Ryan, the House Speaker, saying he's done defending Donald Trump, saying that on a conference call with Republican members just now.
What is distinct about this is that Paul Ryan is not publicly withdrawing his endorsement.
So he won't defend Trump, but he still endorses him. Paul Ryan is so spineless, at this point, they carry him to and from events in a bucket. And he has company. He's not alone, so... In fact, instead of reckoning with Trump's misogyny, his supporters have been trotting out the lamest excuses possible, like his former campaign manager and current frowny face emoji, Corey Lewandowski, who said this.
I think the American people know exactly who Donald Trump is. He's a person, and what has been such an attraction to Donald Trump is that he's not a career politician. He doesn't measure every word. He speaks from the heart. He speaks the way, many times people talk around their dining room table.
Yeah, that's right. He was talking to Billy Bush the way people talk around the dining room table. Honey, this meatloaf is fantastic. I'm gonna move on it like a bitch. Even seemingly basic facts were contested by Trump supporters, a phenomenon CNN analyst Kirsten Powers encountered firsthand when she tweeted, quote, I think grabbing a woman's vagina is assault. To which one Trump supporter responded, normally, I give you a pass, not this time. The vagina is internal. Check an anatomy book, it cannot be grabbed. But of course, Powers had the final say when she responded, quote, I know where my vagina is. to Donald Trump, who thinks vagina is a swing state. They love me in vagina. You know, they love me even more in West Virginia. I'm doing great. I'm doing great in both the vaginas. So as expected, the tape was the first order of business at last night's debate, and when he was asked about it, Trump tried to make the case that it was just idle talk, using one phrase in particular over and over.
You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk. Yes, I'm very embarrassed by it. I hate it, but it's locker room talk. Yes. I told you. That was locker room talk.
First of all, no, it's not. That is not the way men in locker rooms talk. Second of all, this is the problem. Trump treats the entire world like the inside of a men's locker room. And you just know he's the locker room type who towel dries his hair while he's buck naked with one leg up on the bench, so everyone has to avert their eyes to avoid looking at his saggy ball sack. Of course, Trump didn't stop at casually dismissing the charges against him. He also, in his typical way, overreached.
I have great respect for women. Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
And that great respect for women was on full display in the way Trump lurked behind Hillary Clinton on the debate stage every time she answered a question.
Every American feels like he or she has a place in our country, who have real-life experience, who have not just been in a big law firm and maybe clerk for a judge. We just turn it back to the insurance companies the way it used to be. But here's what I don't want people to forget. That was the slot that the Obamacare approach was to take. And like I say, 20 million people now have health insurance.
Okay, now I know you're upset, but you have to understand that wasn't lurking. That was just a locker room walk. You know when you're a man in a woman's locker room and you have to stand behind the woman so she can't see you? And then when she turns, you turn, always staying out of her field of vision. It's a locker room walk. All guys do it. Now you might say, but Trump would never go into a woman's locker room. Fair. But he would go backstage at a Miss Universe pageant while the contestants were changing.
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting.
Right,
I want to make sure that
you're like
everything
a doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Yeah, we should give him more power. But somehow, despite these already shocking revelations, Trump managed to outdo himself last night with an even more dangerous statement, becoming the first presidential candidate to promise that if he's elected, he'll throw his opponent in jail.
I'll tell you what. I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm going to say it. And I hate to say it. But if I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Says the pervert on the bus. So Trump finally revealed his inner dictator, which probably shouldn't come as a surprise given that he's repeatedly praised other dictators who jail political opponents.
I think I would have a very, very good relationship with Putin. He is really very much of a leader. The man has very strong control over a country.
Saddam Hussein killed terrorists. He would kill. There were no terrorists. He would kill them immediately. He didn't do it politically correct. He found a terrorist, they were gone within 5 seconds, okay? If you look at North Korea, this guy, he's like a maniac, okay? And you got to give him credit. How many young guys, he was like 26 or 25 when his father died, take over these tough generals, and all of a sudden, you know, it's pretty amazing when you think of it. How does he do that?
Seriously, how can we be surprised by anything from a man who put these two sentences back to back?
He's like a maniac, okay? And you got to give him credit.
It's not even but. It's not even but you got to give him credit. Fortunately, none of this seems to be working with voters, a majority of whom thought Hillary Clinton won the debate according to post-debate polls. A fact Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, disagreed with in a way that I think is very telling.
Who won the debate? 57% said Hillary Clinton won the debate. 34% said Donald Trump won the debate. That's the results of our CNN RSC poll. Kellyanne, thanks very much for joining.
I watched a different debate, but thank you.
That's right. You were watching a different debate from a different reality. Maybe that alternate reality is the same one Trump was inhabiting when he thought it was totally normal to just start walking off the stage while Hillary was giving an answer. Where is he going? What's back there? The ash heap of history? Does he think there are naked women behind every stage? This has been A Closer Look.